The silence on the other end of the phone was deafening. I could hear my dad's voice cracking as he spoke those words that would change everything. The meal didn't arrive. 20 family members sat around an elegantly set table, staring at empty dishes. The beautiful decorations now seemed to mock what should have been a celebration. From my cozy apartment 30 minutes away, I stirred my warm drink and listened. My Aunt Sarah's confused voice drifted through the background chatter. I could picture the exact moment it all clicked for her. With complete calm, I responded, "Oh really? I figured you had everything handled without me." The quiet that followed was thick and uncomfortable. Then came the whispered conversations. My mom's panicked voice broke through. "What is she talking about?" The confusion was spreading. This was the same family who had shut me out but had no problem letting me foot the bill weeks earlier. I'm Sarah Mitchell, 38 years old, the oldest child who somehow became the family's personal assistant, counselor, and ATM machine all rolled into one. Holiday gatherings had always meant everything to our family. Not because of love or warmth, but because of the perfect image we had to maintain. Growing up, I learned early that I wasn't really a daughter, I was more like hired help. While my younger brother and sister got all the attention and praise, I was the one organizing everyone's schedules, taking care of scraped knees, and making sure homework got done. College felt like my chance to finally be treated as an equal. I was wrong about that too. The betrayal hit me like a truck just 1 week before our big family dinner. My aunt posted in our group chat about how excited she was to see everyone. I replied saying I couldn't wait either. Hours of silence followed. Then my cousin reached out privately with a message that stopped my heart cold. "Wait, you're actually planning to come? Your parents told everyone you weren't invited this year." I felt sick. I immediately called my mother, completely confused. She danced around the truth before finally admitting, "We're keeping it small this time. Just close family." "I am close family," I said, my voice shaking with disbelief. "We just thought it would be less complicated this way. You know, avoid any awkwardness." There hadn't been any awkwardness. Unless she meant the times I finally started saying no when they asked me to pay for my brother's car repairs or when I refused to bail out my sister after her wedding expenses got out of control. I did some digging. Everyone else had gotten invitations. My siblings, their partners, even distant relatives I barely knew. Everyone except me. What they forgot was that while I might have been banned from their table, I was still the one who had paid for their feast. It took me a while to realize the full impact of what they'd done. My dad had asked me to help with the meal costs, but I hadn't just helped, I had covered everything. The main course, all the side dishes, the desserts. I had personally placed orders at Henderson's Fine Meats, where my mother always shopped, and Golden Spoon Bakery, famous for their award-winning pies. Everything was ordered under my name and credit card. They didn't just exclude me. They used me. I made 2 quick phone calls. The butcher processed my cancellation immediately. The bakery hesitated at first but agreed when I showed them my receipt. Then I sat back and waited, knowing exactly how this would play out. The holiday arrived. At 12:30 in the afternoon, my phone started ringing with my dad's name. I let it ring several times before answering. "The food never showed up," he said, his voice mixing panic with confusion. I could hear the chaos in the background. Worried voices, sharp whispers, my mother's stressed tone cutting through it all. I tilted my head and put on my most concerned voice. "Oh no. Did you check with whoever was supposed to handle the order?" "You were handling the order," he snapped back. "Was I?" I let the silence stretch out, making it sting just enough. "Well, I assumed you had everything under control without me." He didn't respond. An hour later, my cousin painted the perfect picture through text. No main course, no desserts. Every grocery store and restaurant in town was either closed or completely sold out. My sister had brought her new boyfriend to impress the family. She ended up locked in the bedroom crying. My mother hid in the bathroom. My father sat there speechless while my uncle loudly asked, "Didn't Sarah say she was bringing the turkey?" The room went dead quiet. Then the whispers started spreading. 3 days later came a group text from Mom, "We really missed having you there. Let's move forward from this." Not an apology. Just a suggestion to sweep everything under the rug like always. I didn't respond. My aunt called the next day. "Several of us had words with your parents," she said quietly. They needed to hear some hard truths. But my mother hated facing consequences. By the end of that week, a completely different story started making the rounds. Now I was unstable, dramatic, and had deliberately ruined everyone's holiday. My dad called multiple times before I finally picked up. "I don't know what point you were trying to make," he said, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. "But you humiliated your mother." I laughed out loud. Funny, since she didn't even want me there in the first place. His dramatic sigh followed. "We made an error, okay? But what you did was cruel. More cruel than uninviting your own daughter after she paid for everything. You should have spoken up sooner." "You're overreacting," he said, "like that would make me back down. It really wasn't that serious." My heart was pounding. It was serious to me. "Not that serious," I shot back. "Then why are you calling me about it, Dad?" I hung up, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. My whole body was buzzing with anger and grief. That night, my cousin texted, "You just started a family war." Apparently, my mother was already spinning her version of events. How I'd always been difficult, and this just proved her point. The winter holidays were approaching like a storm cloud. I had zero plans to show up. That changed when my aunt called with disturbing news. "She's telling everyone you're too fragile to be around family," she said carefully. "That you're skipping the holidays because you can't handle confrontation. And your dad is claiming he tried to make things right, but you're being stubborn." I gripped the phone until my knuckles went white. They weren't going to rewrite my story. Winter holiday evening, I showed up fashionably late to my parents' house. The moment I walked through the door, it was like someone had pressed pause on a movie. Every conversation stopped mid-sentence. My mother's face froze. My father stopped drinking his whiskey mid-sip. My sister stared like she'd seen a ghost. "Hey everyone," I said casually, unwrapping my scarf with a smile. "Happy holidays." My mother found her voice first. "Oh, you decided to come." "Of course," I replied sweetly. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." Then I stepped aside to reveal my surprise guest. My grandmother. My mother's mother. My mother's face went completely white. Years ago, they'd had a terrible falling out. My mom had tried to erase her from our lives completely, but I never stopped staying in touch. Grandma had been horrified when she heard about the dinner disaster. When I asked if she wanted to join us for the holidays, she didn't even hesitate. "Oh my," Grandma said, stepping inside with exaggerated amazement. "It's been so long since I've been in this beautiful home. What lovely decorations you have." My mother looked like she might pass out. Dinner was perfectly tense. Grandma picked at her food and said brightly, "Oh, is this from the store? It has that very consistent taste." I had to bite my cheek to keep from laughing. A week later, strange messages started coming from cousins and extended family. Heard there was some confusion. Are you doing okay? Others were more direct, didn't think you had that kind of fight in you. My aunt filled me in on what was happening. Your mom is telling everyone you had some kind of mental breakdown, she said with a sigh. That you're not stable. That what you did at the holidays proved it. I let out a bitter laugh. Unbelievable, but not surprising. My mother had taught me that truth is dangerous to people who need to control everything. The realization hit me hard. My mother wasn't just embarrassed, she felt threatened. I had exposed her, and now she was rewriting history to make me look unstable. If she could discredit me, she wouldn't have to face the truth. She wouldn't have to admit she was wrong. I called my grandmother. She didn't sugarcoat anything. Unfortunately, she sighed, your mother has been calling around saying she's worried about you, that you're not mentally well. I let out a sharp, bitter laugh. You know that's not true, right? My dear, she said, her voice suddenly firm. I knew it wasn't true before she even started talking. That night, I sat on my couch, lit only by my holiday tree lights, and typed a message to the family group chat. Hey everyone, just wanted to clear up any confusion. I'm doing great. No breakdowns, no drama. It's been an interesting holiday season, but I'm genuinely in a good place. Hope you all are too. Wishing everyone a wonderful new year. Short, neutral, impossible to twist. The digital equivalent of smiling and waving while my mother's lies crumbled. Then something unexpected happened. My brother Mike texted me, "Hey, can we talk?" We hadn't spoken in months. I called him immediately, heart racing. His voice came through uncertain, softer than I remembered. Look, I don't agree with what Mom did. I was shocked. You don't? She's really good at twisting situations, he admitted. The dinner felt wrong. But the holidays, that's when everything became clear. I stayed quiet, letting him continue. I didn't say anything because, well, you know how she gets. Yeah, I said gently. I know. He paused. I'm not saying I handled it right, but I don't think you're crazy. Not even close. My throat tightened. I hadn't realized how much I needed to hear that until tears started forming. Something had shifted. First my aunt, then my grandmother, now Mike. My mother's grip was loosening. 2 weeks later, my phone rang. I almost ignored it, but curiosity and old wounds made me answer. Hello. Her voice was ice cold. We need to meet in person. About what? A pause. Your little performance humiliated me. There it was. Not, hurt me. Not, let's talk about what happened. Just, humiliated me. Still all about appearances. Sunday dinner, 6 o'clock, she said curtly. Your father and I expect you there. Then she hung up. I almost didn't go, but my aunt convinced me. Just hear them out, she urged. You don't have to forgive them, but make them say it to your face. So on Sunday evening, I drove back to my parents' house. The tension hit me the moment I entered the dining room. It was heavy, almost suffocating. My dad stood stiffly near the table, hands clasped too tightly. My mom sat at the head like a judge, arms crossed, mouth set in a hard line, eyes sharp with anger. My sister pretended to be absorbed in her phone. My brother Mike sat on the edge of his seat, glancing nervously between everyone. Mom exhaled hard. Do you have any idea what you've done? I tilted my head. Which part upset you? Canceling the meal, bringing grandma to dinner, or the fact that people stopped believing your version of events? "You're so overdramatic," she spat. Dad stepped in, his voice low but tense. "Your mother is hurt, and you've done nothing but make her look bad." "She made herself look bad," I replied calmly. "I just stopped covering for her." Mom's face flushed red. "The truth? You mean your version of events?" "Because in my version, you abandoned your family, refused to move on, and took revenge over a simple misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? The word cracked through the air. "You didn't invite me. You let me pay for everything and then acted like I didn't exist." "We never meant to exclude you," she snapped. "We thought it would be easier, less drama, and then you made it 10 times worse. You told people I was mentally unstable. You tried to destroy my reputation. You embarrassed me," she shot back, in front of everyone. Then Mike spoke up. "Mom," he said quietly but firmly, "you did exclude her. You told everyone she wasn't coming. You let her pay for everything. That was wrong." She turned toward him, eyes flashing. "Oh, don't you start too." But Mike didn't back down. "No, you crossed a line. You always do when you feel cornered." Dad shifted uncomfortably. We should have handled it differently." Mom narrowed her eyes. "What does that mean?" He hesitated. "Maybe she has a point." The room went silent, but I wasn't finished. "You didn't just leave me out," I said. "You tried to paint me as unstable. You called relatives and said I was having a breakdown." "Why, Mom?" And then she said it, "Because I was embarrassed." Complete silence fell. She blinked like she hadn't even realized the truth until it spilled out. I didn't know what to tell people when they asked. It got out of hand. I didn't want to be the bad guy. "So you made me the bad guy?" I said quietly. She didn't answer. Beside her, for the first time in my life, I saw my father look at her like he didn't recognize the woman sitting there. Mike sat still, jaw clenched. Across the table, my sister, quiet until now, muttered under her breath, "Unbelievable." Just like that, the truth settled over the room like thick fog. The lies, the manipulation, the selfishness, all of it exposed and undeniable. For the first time in my life, I saw my mother clearly. Not as an untouchable authority figure, not as some all-powerful force, just a woman so terrified of being wrong that she would rather destroy her own daughter than admit her mistakes. I stood up. "I'm done," I said, steady and sure. "I don't need an apology because I don't think you're capable of giving a real one. But I need you to understand that I'm done." My mother flinched like I'd slapped her. "Wait, no. You don't get to walk away like that. You did this," I said firmly. "You shut me out. And when people noticed, you rewrote the story. You made me the villain because you couldn't handle the truth." Her lips parted, but nothing came out. I turned to my father. "I appreciate that you tried, but you let it happen. And that hurt too." He didn't respond. Just looked down at his hands. I looked at my siblings. My sister's face was tight with guilt. "I should have said something sooner," she said softly. Mike gave a quiet nod. "Me too." It didn't fix anything, but it mattered. In the weeks that followed, I created distance. Mom sent shallow texts, "Can we move past this?" I left them unanswered. My aunt checked in regularly, her support unwavering. Grandma sent a handwritten letter full of warmth, telling me how proud she was that I stood up for myself. But the real surprise came from Mike. One evening in mid-January, he texted, "Want to grab coffee?" We met at a quiet cafe and ended up talking for nearly 3 hours. I think I spent so long trying to keep the peace, he said, I didn't realize how much damage she was doing. Yeah, I replied softly. I get it. In that moment, I realized I wasn't alone anymore. If you've ever been the scapegoat in your own family, the one who sees the problems while everyone else clings to the illusion, then you know this feeling. The constant questioning, the heartbreak of being told you're the problem just for setting boundaries. You've heard it all, that never happened. You're too sensitive. Stop making everything about you. Standing up to that pattern isn't easy. It's terrifying. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do isn't forgive. It's refuse to play your assigned role. The empty chair at their next holiday table won't be my shame. It will be my peace. If you're still nodding along, maybe it's time to ask yourself which relationships in your life are nourishing you, and which ones are just keeping you starved for love you'll never receive. If you've ever been silenced, sidelined, or labeled for standing your ground, share your story in the comments. Support matters. Protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's necessary. Choose respect over obligation. If this resonated with you, make sure to subscribe. This journey might be over, but yours may just be beginning.